It's Christmas of 2001, and you just unwrap your new copy of Super Smash Bros. Melee. Your friends and your cousins are as hyped as you, and they want to try it out. In we go to free-for-all, and even with items and all, you are doing most of the winning. After a while, you switch to a different game, one you have never played before, and then you realize that you are still doing most of the winning. Even your older cousins are getting a piece, and they've always been faster and stronger than you. I guess Andrew and Jose aren't as good in video games, you think? The years go by and this pattern keeps repeating throughout different games, throughout different consoles. Soul Calibur, Mario Party 4, 5, 007, Brawl, and it's not only your cousins anymore, but you're also beating that one rival you used to have and your friends. You beat them all the time, to the point where they grow up to only like FIFA and Call of Duty campaigns. In time, you come to the realization that it's not that they suck at video games, but you are just that good. And when you take it seriously, nobody can beat you. Then, you join a Facebook group of people in your region who are apparently pretty good. In my case, it was South Florida, and the game was Smash 4. I asked if someone close to me was down to play, and one guy replied. His name was Savior. I went to his place to play friendlies for a couple of hours, and I distinctly remember he not going to his meeting right away. I was like, who the f*** does this guy think he is? Doesn't he know I beat my older cousins when I was 11? I gotta show him what's up. But then, what I remember even more about that night is me not even being close to beating him, not even taking a game. And in retrospective, I think that was important. Me not being able to take even a game, it would convince me that there were people who were really that much better than I was, and that skill could be polished to the point where coincidences wouldn't matter. This was my first glance at a competitive esports scene. Now, even though that was my experience, I think most of you have been through a similar story in some kind of thinking we are godlike and then having someone bluntly destroy us really put things into perspective. Turns out you weren't that good. Those people that you beat, your cousins, they just suck. Now, competitive games, especially fighting games, get a bad reputation of being too hard for newcomers. And while I think that's true, and I wouldn't have it any other way, there are some insights that might make all of this a little bit more appealing, even for the casual watcher. So yeah, fighting games are hard, but the reason why they're considered to be harder to get started in, it's because there's so much more to be optimized than in other disciplines, and it all falls on one person to do it. Let's take tennis as an example. I believe tennis to be the most optimized outdoor sport, and the discipline it demands is parallel to that of fighting game. In tennis, every aspect of the game depends on the skill of one single player. Offense and defense are all carried out by one person, and they both need to be practiced and optimized to incredibly high levels in order to remain competitive. This makes competitive tennis remarkably consistent, especially when you compare it to other sports. Not only the #1 ranked player, Novak Djokovic, won the French Open, but he also increased his record of Grand Slam championships, followed by the two more consistent players in the world. My point is that historically, the top 5 remains about the same throughout the years. Compare that to games like soccer, football, or basketball, where there are more players and a lot more variables, and you will notice that the top 5 changes constantly. It's not uncommon for a team to make it very far for the first time. Manchester City just won their first Champions League title ever, the most important title. What I'm saying is, fighting games are similar to tennis in the sense that all optimizations fall on one single person. Every mistake is painfully punished, and there are no teammates to share the responsibility. All of this creates a try-hard mentality that can be sort of toxic for casual newcomers that all they want is to have some fun. So, how do you get invested into fighting games? After talking to a lot of people, I realized that they all had stories similar to the one I told at the beginning of the video, where they got destroyed, that actually motivated them to keep learning and to keep playing the game. With that, I concluded that there are 2 elements needed in order to catalyze that storyline for you or for future players. Number 1, winning a little. You have to have tasted victory sometime. It makes you feel powerful and straight up better. Whenever someone says I'm too competitive, I always joke saying they didn't win enough as children. Having a little taste of being better than others, it's the first step to become a true competitor. Not just in esports, but in life in general. This is why amateur brackets are great at making more people interested in registering to tournaments and competing. Nevertheless, the best thing about winning is that it's hard. It takes work to get there, and it gets you out of your comfort zone. By nature, losing is part of every competition. That's the part. The spark is basically a consequence of getting your ass whooped. Not just losing, I'm talking about you going all out and someone still clearly being better than you. For you see, it's this type of loss that serves as the best teacher. Because whatever you learn after this will establish how hard you will get into esports, if at all. After someone whoops you, you either want to come back and beat them, or you move to simpler things in life like single player games. When it comes to competing and this spark, some people say either you have it or you don't. I even know some people that let newer players take up games or stocks of them just so that it would boost their morale and they would like to keep attending tournaments. But personally, I believe that to be the wrong approach. I didn't get into fighting games because someone let me win. And if you're watching this video and made it this far, I'm sure neither did you. This was cultivated. If I had so much fun winning casually before Sabric made me his son, then I wouldn't have gotten so interested in esports, fighting games, and I would have abandoned what's now my favorite hobby. You don't get good at this game without losing a lot. And yeah, being salty is a horrible feeling, but you can't avoid it any more than you can falling while learning how to snowboard or learning how to play the guitar. It's all about playing with a learning mindset. We've all been bodied before, but each beatdown can become a reminder to do things different. Getting to a high level is up to the player, and there's a unique satisfaction that comes when you notice tangible progress. It varies from landing a difficult part of a song to beating someone who you couldn't beat before. In the end, the pros far outweigh the cons, and it's something you can be proud of. So, the next time you're playing a promising player, don't have mercy on them. On the contrary, beat the shit out of them and set the spark ablaze. I wanted to try something different from the usual content. I have a lot of cool ideas for videos just like this one, so if you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing, and as always, your feedback in the comments is appreciated. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. See ya.